All right, question number 3. Solve the equation by the square root property. So, similar to question 1 and 2, we're still solving a quadratic equation, except this time they want us to use the square root property. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to rewrite the original equation that we were given. And if we're trying to solve for x, we want x all by itself. The first thing we probably want to do is free it from inside this quantity that's being squared. And the only way that we can cancel this square, this second power, is to take the square root of both sides. And that's where the directions come in handy. The square root property means at some point in solving, you're going to be taking the square root of both sides, and indeed we do. Now notice that when you create your own square root, we have to include a plus minus. And really that's true of any time you create a radical with an even index or even root, you have to take the plus and minus. Now here on the left, taking the square root cancels this second power, and we're left with just the quantity 3x minus 5, the original quantity that was being squared. And then here on the right, we're going to have plus and minus radical 13. Now, if we could break down radical 13, we would certainly want to do that, but I don't think we can break radical 13 down, and so it's going to stay just as it is. And now this becomes a fairly straightforward algebraic equation or problem for solving. So we're going to go ahead, and if we want to get x by itself, let's add 5 to both sides. And that'll leave us with 3x equals 5 plus and minus radical 13. And then, of course, if we want x all by itself, let's go ahead and divide both sides by 3. And that'll leave us with x equals 5 plus and minus radical 13 all over 3. Now, remember, this was a quadratic equation, right? And we would expect at most to have 2 solutions to our equation, and indeed we do. It may look like it's a single equation, but what we've done is we've compressed 2 solutions into one using this plus and minus notation. If you don't like writing your solution as using the plus and minus notation, what we can do is we can say x equals 5 plus radical 13 over 3 and 5 minus radical 13 over 3. Both of these notations are perfectly acceptable. Here in this notation, you can see that we've broken out each solution to the equation using strictly the plus or strictly the minus versus using plus or minus. Either one is fine, whichever you prefer. I'm not sure what the answer key has on this test. I don't have it in front of me, but just be aware that either one of these two would be acceptable. And so there we have it. Number 3, x equals 5 plus and minus radical 13 over 3. I'll see you at question number 4.